If the brain is the center of identity, then explain this. Why do heart transplant recipients sometimes wake up with the memories and personality traits of the dead donor? Your brain is just a storage drive. The human heart is the true processor of your consciousness. Could that hidden fact be the missing piece in our quest for conscious artificial intelligence? We are about to completely take apart the foundational doctrine of human existence.
Everything you believe about consciousness, where your memories are stored, where your identity comes from, what makes you you, it's all profoundly incomplete.
For centuries, we've just accepted it, right? The brain is the undisputed king, the sole epicenter of the self.
If you want to find the core of a person, you look at their neural activity. Simple. But our deep dive today synthesizes a body of evidence, scientific, medical, and even historical, that suggests something radically different.
It suggests the brain is simply the storage device.
That's it. It's the hard drive.
And if the brain is the hard drive, this brilliant, unbelievable system for storage and retrieval, then we're here to make the case that the heart is the CPU.
The central processing unit.
It's the true engine that executes consciousness, that processes raw emotion, and anchors your individuality, your moral choices, your wisdom.
And we are not starting with philosophy. We're not easing into this. We are jumping straight into the most visceral, paradigm-shattering phenomenon documented in modern medicine.
Identity transfer.
We're talking about heart transplant recipients who wake up with the tastes, the memories, or even the intense personality traits of their deceased donors.
Think about that for a second. A completely new organ, and suddenly the recipient is craving hot dogs when they used to be a lifelong vegetarian.
Or they develop a sudden paralyzing fear of heights, which it turns out is how their donor died.
If your very identity, your deepest self, can be transferred along with a transplanted organ, then the conventional understanding of a purely brain-based consciousness, it just instantly collapses.
And that is our mission today. We are going to conduct a surgical deep dive into this radical counter-hypothesis. We're synthesizing the science of neurocardiology, the paradox of AI replication, and thousands of years of suppressed ancient knowledge.
So get ready, because the hidden truth of consciousness is about to be unveiled. Okay, let's unpack that functional duality right away, because this redefinition of the body's entire operating system is, well, it's crucial to everything else we're going to talk about.
Right. The conventional view, the one we all learn in biology class, is that consciousness, logic, long-term memory, it's all the exclusive property of those super elaborate neural processes happening inside our skulls.
The brain is the be-all and end-all.
Exactly. And look, the brain is an unparalleled machine for learning, for language, logic, pattern recognition. It holds our biographical data, our name, where we went to school, how to speak 3 languages.
All the files.
All the files, the neural schemas, the learned data points. It is a superb storage center. No one is debating that.
But this alternative hypothesis, the one that the transplant paradox really forces us to look at, it suggests a profound division of labor.
A very clear one. The brain stores the data. The heart complex processes the meaning.
The weight of it. The moral nuance.
That's it. The heart is what processes emotional judgment and that deeper sense of self-awareness.
You used the computer analogy in the intro, and I think we should really stick with that. It makes it so clear.
It's the perfect analogy. The brain is your memory bank, your RAM, and your solid-state drive. It's fast, it's efficient, it holds everything. But the heart functions as the CPU.
And the CPU is what runs the show.
It executes the program, it determines priority, it applies the instruction. The heart gives the stored data, feeling, judgment, and ultimately it drives action.
And the evidence for this executive function residing outside the brain is found in these. They're highly disturbing reports surrounding the identity transfer paradox.
And we have to be clear, we're not talking about 1 or 2 vague cases here. There are dozens of documented reports detailing recipients who experience these undeniable, sudden, and very specific shifts in their personality right after the surgery.
Let's get granular. Give us one of the really powerful examples.
Okay, so one of the most famous documented cases involved a young girl who received the heart of a 10-year-old murder victim.
Oh, well.
After the transplant, the recipient started having these incredibly intense, vivid nightmares.
Not just bad dreams.
No, they were detailed replays of the murder scene. She could describe the attacker, the weapon, the clothes he was wearing, the environment, all with such clarity that her mother contacted the police.
You're kidding.
Not at all. The details were so specific that investigators were able to use them to find and convict the killer.
Okay, that is mind-bending. But let's play devil's advocate for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
How do we rule out pure psychological trauma here? Or, confirmation bias?
It's a crucial question, an absolutely critical one.
I mean, the trauma from a massive surgery like that is immense. And the recipient knows their new heart came from someone who died, often tragically. Couldn't they subconsciously just try to fill in the blanks or feel this intense pressure to honor the donor's memory somehow?
That's a huge psychological hurdle, you're right. And it's precisely why the documented research moves way beyond just anecdote. While psychological factors are always considered, they completely fail to explain the specificity and the sudden onset of things like new allergies.
New allergies.
Yes, or inexplicable emotional triggers. But most tellingly, extremely specific food cravings. Things the recipient absolutely hated before the surgery, but which family members later confirm were the donor's absolute favorites.
So we're talking about changes that aren't just emotional, they're physiological and intensely specific.
Exactly.
If memory and identity were purely stored in the brain cells, changing the heart should be like replacing a car's radiator.
Perfect analogy.
It affects how the engine runs, for sure.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't change the navigation system's saved addresses.
It shouldn't. And this leads researchers to propose a couple of interconnected mechanisms for how this could happen. The first is what they call cellular memory storage.
Okay, what does that mean?
The theory suggests that experiential and emotional memories aren't only stored in neural synapses in the brain. They might also be held by cells throughout the body, including, and maybe especially, in the heart tissue itself. The heart isn't just a dumb pump. It's densely innervated.
So the memories are physically encoded in the organ itself.
That's the idea. And the second mechanism, because if the heart is this executive processor, it must be communicating this information constantly, right?
It can't just be sitting there.
The second mechanism involves electromagnetic field transfer.
Now you're really getting into sci-fi territory.
It sounds like it, but it's based in physics. The heart generates the most powerful and extensive electromagnetic field in the entire human body.
More powerful than the brain. I always assumed the brain was the biggest electrical generator.
Not even close. The heart's field is up to 60 times stronger electrically than the brain's field, and it can be measured several feet away from the body with sensitive magnetometers. And some theories propose that this field acts as a carrier wave for non-local information, a kind of energetic signature of your identity, your emotional state, and that signature is transferred along with the organ.
So a person's essence, their vibe, for lack of a better word, is literally delivered on an invisible, powerful frequency.
That's the hypothesis.
The implication is just staggering.
Yeah.
Our deepest self is a multi-organ phenomenon, a distributed system that's anchored by the heart. And if this processing ability is already present in the heart, my next question is, when does it actually begin its job?
That's the perfect question.
Because this moves us past skepticism and takes us right back to the absolute very first moments of life itself.
To really understand the heart's supremacy in this model, we have to look at the embryological revelation.
Okay.
It's the chronological timeline of human development, and it clearly, undeniably establishes the heart's foundational role.
Detail that timeline for us, because I'll be the audience proxy here. I've always just assumed the brainstem or the central nervous system was the first functional piece to, turn on.
That's a very common assumption, but the scientific reality completely contradicts it. The heart is among the very first organs to form and, crucially, to become functional.
How early are we talking?
Get ready for this. The crucial day, around 21 days post-conception, before the embryo is even the size of a grain of rice, the heart begins rhythmic cardiac activity.
It's already beating.
It is beating. It establishes an independent circulatory system. It is pumping, it's organizing, it's setting the rhythm for the entire developing being.
Day 21, that's just 3 weeks. So what is the brain doing at day 21? Is it even recognizable?
Scarily. The brain is basically just a neural tube at this point. It hasn't achieved any real structural or functional maturity, higher cognitive capacity, language processing, complex memory. That stuff is months away from being online. The brain is only gradually programmed through experience and learning after the heart has already laid this rhythmic, life-regulating foundation.
So this chronological primacy, it suggests the heart isn't just a basic pump. It's foundational in regulating the very structure of life and, I guess, potentially contributing directly to the emergence of consciousness itself from the absolute earliest stages.
It's the central coordinating rhythm from moment one.
Wow.
And its functional sophistication goes so far beyond just muscle. We need to talk about the anatomical proof here. It's called the intrinsic cardiac nervous system, or the ICNS.
The heart's little brain.
That's what some researchers call it, yeah. The heart's brain.
Wait, so the heart actually has its own brain. This sounds like something you'd make up.
It's pure biology, I promise.
Yeah.
The heart possesses approximately 40,000 neurons.
40,000.
40,000 specialized neurons, motor, sensory, and interconnecting nerves. This incredibly complex network allows the heart to process information, make independent decisions, and even learn and remember without waiting for instructions from the brain.
It's semi-autonomous.
Highly. It has complex circuitry, its own neurotransmitters, proteins, support cells. It's a legitimate processing center.
So when we talk about this heart-body neural complex, we're not just speaking metaphorically. We're talking about an integrated, semi-autonomous processor located right in our chest.
A processor capable of sensing, processing, and executing actions based on our internal states. And here's the kicker.
Go on.
This sophisticated network is constantly feeding information up to the brain. Over 90% of the nerve fibers in the vagus nerve, which is the major highway between the abdomen, the chest, and the brain, are afferent. Meaning they send signals from the body and heart to the brain, not the other way around.
Wait, 90%?
Over 90%. The body is the primary source of conscious input for the brain.
That completely flips the script. We all assume the brain is the general sending orders down to the troops. But you're saying the troops, the body, and specifically the heart, are sending the vast majority of the relevant battlefield data up to the general.
That's a perfect way to put it. The heart is constantly reporting on our emotional and physical state, and this helps explain what you called the inconvenient truth of newborns.
Right. If all emotional consciousness is strictly brain-based, created by learned experiences, then how does a newborn lacking learned data, lacking memory, lacking language, express a full range of basic, authentic emotions the second it's born?
Pure, unadulterated joy, existential fear, genuine sadness.
You see it, that immediate reaction to the pain from a vaccination needle. It's not a thought. It's a pure experience of suffering. Or that pure, trusting relaxation when they hear a parent's voice and their whole body just melts.
Exactly. These intense expressions are not learned behaviors or logical processing loops.
They can't be.
They're innate states of being, processed immediately. This supports the idea that the heart complex, the ICNS, and all the surrounding neurocardiology is integrating this experience long before the higher cognitive parts of the brain are ready to assign labels or context to it.
The feeling precedes the thought.
By a long shot. And we can actually measure this influence through something called heart rate variability, or HRV.
Okay, this isn't philosophical fluff anymore. This is hard science.
This is hard, measurable data that demonstrates the heart's profound impact on our cognitive states. HRV measures the tiny millisecond variations in the time intervals between successive heartbeats.
And what does that tell us?
A highly variable, complex, and coherent rhythm is associated with better emotional regulation, higher cognitive function, and mental resilience. A rigid, low variability, predictable rhythm is a biomarker for stress, anxiety, and poor cognitive performance.
So let me get this straight. If the heart is coherent, if it's in a state we might call happy or in balance, it sends a signal up that calms and harmonizes the brain, which then allows for clear, complex thought.
Precisely.
But if the heart is stressed and rigid, it sends a chaotic signal up that basically screams, danger, shut down complex thought, which leads to panic or that fight or flight response.
That is the executive function in action. The heart dictates the quality of the signal, which then dictates the quality of our cognitive and emotional performance. And this connection makes absolute perfect sense of our everyday experience of what we call gut feelings.
Or matters of the heart.
Right. Those rapid instinctive reactions, the moral impulses, the emotional decisions that we just know are true, they originate from this deeper, non-cognitive awareness.
They're being processed through the ICNS, monitored by the vagal nerve, and fed to the brain as a complex physiological signal long before our logical brain can even begin to catch up and analyze it.
You've got it. It connects the embryology, the neurocardiology, and our lived experience. The heart establishes the emotional and regulatory foundation of the self before the brain even has the scaffolding ready to think about it.
Okay, so if the heart complex is this indispensable, integrated core of authentic human emotion and beingness, this creates an unavoidable and frankly fascinating barrier for our next topic.
The technological quest to replicate humanity.
Exactly. Because you can download the hard drive, but it sounds like you can never, ever download the CPU.
The entire conversation about AI changes dramatically when you realize the human equation includes a component that simply cannot be digitized. And if this deep dive is opening your mind to these new scientific possibilities, then you are exactly where you need to be.
We absolutely thrive on these paradigm shifts, on synthesizing this hidden knowledge that connects ancient wisdom to cutting-edge science. If you're having those major aha moments right along with us, please do us a huge favor, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and join our memberships.
Your support genuinely helps us fund the research to bring you even deeper dives into the unexpected hidden truths of our reality.
Now, let's get back to why you are inherently, beautifully unreplicable. We've established this functional duality. Brain as storage, heart is the processor of emotion and moral weight. So now, let's pivot to the grand ambition of technology, solving the digital clone problem.
The goal is incredibly compelling, isn't it? Imagine downloading every single piece of stored data, every memory, every learned skill, every decision algorithm from a person's brain onto some kind of digital construct.
You could, in theory, recreate a functional replica of a lost loved one, or yourself.
Right. And crucially, this replica would be functionally competent. It could analyze data with incredible speed, answer questions based on the stored knowledge banks, and even imitate complex human behaviors based on predictive models derived from the original person's entire life experience.
It would certainly look like them, sound like them, and remember everything they remembered.
It would be an incredibly advanced imitation, a perfect simulation. But here is the fatal gap. Here's the core limitation that this heart-derived consciousness model creates.
The missing piece.
Even with perfect memory replication, the construct would lack true emotional authenticity. It would lack genuine empathy, moral sensitivity, and the nuanced judgment that originates from the integrated heart complex.
It lacks the ability to feel the human experience. And I think we have to make a really clear distinction here between simulating behavior and genuinely being.
That's the whole ballgame. The replica is a masterful imitation, but it doesn't possess a genuine human presence.
Let's use that specific example from the source material, the apology test, because it illustrates this difference between functionality and beingness so perfectly.
It's a great thought experiment.
Okay, so let's say this technological replica, through some error in its execution, has caused a functional problem. It messed up. It needs to apologize.
Okay. The replica can absolutely use a logic tree for this. Input, error detected. Output, statement of regret. It can perfectly articulate, I am profoundly sorry for the operational error I executed, and I have recalculated the optimal response matrix for the future.
It's performing the function of apologizing. It's checking the box.
Correct. But it cannot feel the visceral weight of regret.
No.
It cannot experience genuine moral conflict or that intuitive understanding of having harmed another being or the personal accountability that comes with genuine human sorrow.
That's the difference, right? It's the difference between a robot that's programmed to imitate a facial expression of sorrow because its algorithm dictates that appearing sad is the appropriate response.
Versus the human being who is genuinely experiencing the underlying feeling of sorrow that originates in their chemically integrated heart-body complex.
The AI processes the data of the action. The human processes the soul of the action.
Beautifully put. And this brings us to what might be the ultimate unreplicable boundary, the chemical barrier. The idea that human emotions aren't just abstract logical concepts, they are deeply physically rooted in our endocrine systems.
Absolutely. Think about our most profound, our most defining human emotions. Love, fear, courage, jealousy. These aren't just static logical outputs in our brain.
Not at all. They are profoundly shaped and, in many ways, created by chemical messengers, hormones and neurochemicals.
If I'm falling in love, it's not just a thought. My body is flooded with dopamine, oxytocin, vasopressin. It's a physiological event.
And if you're faced with genuine danger, a surge of adrenaline increases your heart rate. It sharpens your attention. It literally changes your perception of time. These internal chemical shifts are fundamental to the conscious experience.
They are the experience.
These neurochemicals create an integrated, holistic, full-body emotional reaction that fundamentally influences our conscious perception and our decision-making. There's a scientific term for this.
That's that.
It's called interoception. It's the constant monitoring and conscious awareness of our internal physiological state.
So when I say I felt sick to my stomach about that decision or my heart sank when I heard the news, that's not just a metaphor.
Not at all. That is the chemical reality of interoception. The physical body, regulated strongly by the heart's rhythm and endocrine responses, is feeding raw data up to the brain that shapes the conscious feeling.
The feeling is the interpretation of the body's signal.
Precisely. The heart acts as a barometer for internal stress, for bonding, for safety, using these chemicals to signal the truth of the emotional landscape to the rest of the system.
Here it is. Here is the unbreachable barrier, the AI block.
Artificial intelligence, digital replicas. They lack endocrine systems.
No hormones.
No circulating hormones, no adrenaline surge, no oxytocin release triggered by a hug, and no physical heart complex feeding physiological data to a cognitive center.
Therefore, the AI can only ever algorithmically simulate the outward expressions that are associated with an emotion.
It can mimic the pattern of fear perfectly, but it cannot truly feel or internally process authentic consciousness because it lacks the chemical and physiological infrastructure that binds feeling to genuine being.
The conclusion, then, is incredibly powerful. Even if we could perfectly replicate the effect of a thought, we can never replicate the experience of being human.
Not without the integrated chemical and neural system that the heart plays such a foundational role in orchestrating.
And what's so wild is that this isn't just some modern New Age conjecture. This idea has been consistently understood across human history. It's almost like knowledge that was forgotten or maybe even suppressed.
That brings us to a crucial point that's so often missed in modern scientific discourse. The paradigm we are discussing today, that the heart is the seat of true wisdom and consciousness, is actually ancient shared knowledge.
It's just been suppressed, maybe, by the modern intense focus on purely neurological determinism.
It's like we got so good at studying the brain that we forgot to look anywhere else.
It's the conspiracy theory, where the conspiracy is just historical oversight.
Exactly. Across thousands of years and incredibly diverse global traditions, the heart was consistently regarded as far more than just a hydraulic pump. There's a powerful philosophical consensus here.
It was seen as the center of wisdom, of morality, intuition, the very essence of the soul.
Universally. So let's look at how a few specific traditions conceptualize this heart-mind relationship, because it's fascinating.
Let's start with Islam, because the concept of the qalb, the heart, is so much richer than the Western equivalent, which is mostly just about romance.
It's vastly richer. In Islam, the heart, or qalb, is described as the central organ of spiritual and moral awareness. It is not just about feeling, but about true understanding and guidance. True comprehension is rooted in the heart.
And there's that verse from the Quran, right?
There is. The Quran explicitly asks, and I'm paraphrasing here, have they not traveled through the land, and have they hearts wherewith to understand?
Wow, hearts wherewith to understand.
It implies that true understanding, moral perception, spiritual clarity doesn't just happen in your head. It has to be processed through that heart center to be authentic.
That concept stands in such direct opposition to Cartesian dualism, which is really the foundation of modern thought.
The I think, therefore I am, that split the mind and thought entirely from the body in our physical experience. Ancient traditions argued the exact opposite. The soul, the seat of wisdom, was inherently embodied and anchored by the heart.
And Hinduism reinforces this completely. The heart holds incredible spiritual weight there as well.
Indeed. In Hindu philosophy, the heart is considered the dwelling place of the Atman.
Which is the soul.
The individual soul, yes. The eternal, unchanging essence that connects the individual person to the ultimate reality, which they call Brahman. The true self resides in the heart, connecting our local, temporal reality to the eternal.
I love that distinction. The brain handles the temporal, where you parked your car today.
Right.
The heart handles the eternal, your moral path, the true essence of who you are.
And Sufi mysticism, a mystical branch of Islam, takes this even further. They see the heart as the locus of divine illumination. It's the inner mirror that, when it's polished through spiritual practice, unveils profound spiritual truth.
So for them, the spiritual journey is literally a journey into the heart.
It is the core of their entire emotional and spiritual path towards self-realization.
What's so fascinating to me is the uniformity across these completely disparate traditions. They all seem to agree that, logic and calculation reside somewhere in the head, but true wisdom, moral judgment, and genuine feeling, the things that really define us as humans, were rooted in the heart.
This incredible consistency reinforces the idea that consciousness is a distributed, multi-organ phenomenon. It's almost as if the ancient world was observing the functional reality of the ICNS and the electromagnetic field long before we had the technology to measure it.
They intuitively understood the heart's executive role in processing the deepest aspects of the self.
They did. And from that perspective, the modern neurological focus, which treats the brain as the sole authority, suddenly looks less like a breakthrough and more like a period of, well, profound historical amnesia.
We dismiss the wisdom of the body in favor of the logic of the mind.
And the most profound implication of this ancient knowledge, especially when it supports the modern transplant paradox, is that the core of your being, that emotional and spiritual essence, is inherently metaphysical. And therefore, it's completely unreplicable by purely mechanical or digital means.
Okay. We have traveled from the shocking evidence of identity transfer through the hard science of the heart's intrinsic brain. We've navigated the AI paradox and connected this entire concept back to millennia of human spiritual consensus.
It's been a journey.
It's time to synthesize this whole thing. Let's define the final duality.
Right, because the integrated truth is far more nuanced than a simplistic brain versus heart dichotomy. The brain is an undeniably powerful recorder. It's a brilliant retrieval system, an unparalleled tool for logic and analysis.
We need it. It's essential for navigating the physical world.
Absolutely. But the core takeaway, the thing we really want you to walk away with, has to be this. The heart anchors a person's sense of self. It drives their genuine feelings. It informs their moral choices. And it imbues their experience with authentic emotional depth.
It's the ultimate truth detector for the entire integrated system.
And understanding this integrated heart-body neural complex is fundamental. It means that defining life, identity, consciousness, it all requires a fundamental reassessment of medical science and philosophy.
We have to stop treating the heart merely as a biological pump.
It's a sensitive, perceptive, decision-making organ.
And this knowledge provides the final, I think, unbreachable defense against technological overreach. We can draw a very clear distinction now.
A very clear one. Technology can, and almost certainly will, replicate human functionality.
It can process brain data, store knowledge, perform rapid analysis. It can result in an incredibly accurate simulation of human behavior.
But replicating genuine human beingness, that's a different story.
That authentic emotional resonance, the capacity for true empathy, the moral complexity that's derived from our chemical and physiological state, that spiritual awareness.
It all remains beyond technological reach, and that's because the heart ensures that the essence of ourself is, and always will be, unreplicable.
The human being is defined by its integrated, chemically driven, and chronologically primary emotional core. You can download the map, but you cannot download the journey.
And that analogy is so powerful. Let's use it as our final provocative thought for everyone listening. Thinking of the brain as the heart's hard drive is like confusing a map for the journey itself.
Explain that.
The brain, the map, can store the directions. It can recall the landmarks. It can calculate the most efficient route. And it can tell you the distance traveled. It's a perfect record.
It's the data.
It's the data. But it is the heart complex, driven by its own neurons, fueled by its electromagnetic field, and regulated by chemical messengers, that actually supplies the fuel for the car. It determines the ultimate, often non-logical destination, and it genuinely experiences the joy, the fear, and the moral weight of the road ahead.
The brain gives you the Wikipedia definition of love.
Exactly. The heart gives you the overwhelming physical, chemical, undeniable reality of it.
So the final implication for you, the listener, is just profound. Now that you know the heart's true power, that it's the true anchor of yourself, how might you refocus your attention?
How might you prioritize those matters of the heart, your intuition, your moral impulses, your emotional honesty, now that you know they are the executive decisions that truly define you?
We've uncovered a truth that spans from the moment of conception through ancient spiritual texts right up to the modern AI lab. Thank you for diving deep with us into the hidden machinery of the self.
Keep questioning, keep reading, and most importantly, keep processing with your heart. We'll see you on the next deep dive.